I am now very excited to open a new presentation this year at Leadership Assembly called Know Your AABCs. As the title of this session implies, it's moving. We are taking you back to basics with the aim of providing transparency regarding the standing committees of the AABC. This year, we have invited 4 of our chairs to present their committees and to give you a sense of their purpose, their goals, and the work with which they are charged. We will hear from Tracy Rodrigues for Nominating Committee, Ilene Fish for Project Continuum, Randi Jaffe for Annual Giving, and Amy Veltman for Alma Maters. It is my goal to present all of the standing committees over the next years so that you have the opportunity to consider your best fit in future. I hope whether you are an experienced or incoming volunteer that you will discover aspects of their mission that resonate, so that as leaders, your consideration to serve is well-informed and, most importantly, that your expertise finds a welcoming home. Before we hear from our chairs, I'd like to introduce President of the AABC, Jyoti Menon.
Hi everyone, how's it going? Hope everyone's having a good morning. Every time I come here, I continue to learn so much on all these days, so hopefully you're able to learn a lot as well. Before I start, I just want to thank Hilary and the work of the Leadership Committee and getting all of this together. I know they spend a lot of time in really thinking about the type of content to share, and the idea of Know Your AABCs, to really give you all a sense of what we do, what's this thing that is the AABC and the committees that we have. So again, thanks to all of you that are here, and maybe some who are on the committee who aren't here. And as always, none of this stuff happens without the work of our Alumni Relations Office. So thanks to all of them and all of you as well. So I thought, as this is starting my second year as president, and so my first year was a lot of fun, getting to know a lot more about what is the AABC, meeting a lot more alumni, really thinking about, how to focus our time in the next couple of years and how to figure out goals and things we want to work on. And so there are a few things that I think about in terms of what we want to do as an AABC and what some of my personal goals are for the AABC, Barnard, and the Alumni Association overall. One is this idea of being an ambassador for Barnard. I think of all of us as people who are willing to take a Friday out of your very busy days, whether it's taking a day off of work or whether it's, maybe you could be out in this, I think, seemingly nice day. And instead you choose to spend your time with us. And that goes a long way, and I think it means a lot for the college. It personally means a lot for me, and it really shows that you truly are ambassadors for Barnard, and that's why we spend so much time making sure you know what's happening. I love during the Beyond Barnard session a few questions around how do we get more information, how do I get more involved. That's really the purpose of bringing everyone here together. So that's really a big area, and I talk about it quite a lot, even in our AABC meetings. I think the board members are going to get sick of hearing the word ambassador out of my mouth, but I think it is truly really important for all of us as we're learning all this information and taking it back to your classes, your just out and about in the community. And Barnard over time, and we do have a new VP of communications coming on as well, and she started actually, and thinking about there's emails that we get, but get on, social media and all these different channels to get information about Barnard, share it, like it, all the other things you can do on social that I probably don't know enough about. We have some younger alums who can teach us more about it. But, really just, be out there and learn as much as you can. So another key one you heard from Lisa already is participation. Every time I see these numbers, I'm always a little taken aback that we have an alumni group that is so passionate about Barnard and loves Barnard and comes back, yet we haven't been able to really break this 20 to 25% participation rate. And that's something we need to do. it really shows sort of our confidence in the college, in our new president, with President Bylock at the helm now. And it helps in so many ways. The participation speaks to so many things. It speaks to, from the outside in, how many of the alumni are really giving back to Barnard. That tells a story about who we are, and I think the numbers don't show it. The conversations I have show our commitment and interest and love of Barnard. And what's so important to also realize is a lot of people get caught up in the dollar amount. Oh, I can't give, $100,000, $10,000, $1,000, whatever that amount is. Take that out of your minds completely. It's literally about the act of giving, right? So whether it's $20, $5, whatever you're comfortable with, that's really the effort. And Lisa earlier spoke about Giving Day. That's a really fun opportunity to get involved and give during that time. There are a lot of little competitions and things like that, so it makes it a really fun way. So that's on, I think it was October 24th. So, definitely think about those ways and really realize the importance of that participation. So I definitely encourage you to take that back to your classmates. And the last thing I'll talk about is continuing to grow our alumni volunteers. And like I said, this is my, my second year, and every time, and I've been to leadership on many occasions, we don't have a shortage of people who are involved and committed to Barnard. And so, it's always great to see standing here the number of people that are here in the room, but we want to continue to drive that. So I'm sure many of you have been here several times and you've been involved in your class council or fundraising or any different committees over the years. But we also want to think about, how do we bring other people in? How do you get your friends to come to the next event? Or how do you, bring your friends to a film festival event, come watch a movie? How do you bring them back to Barnard? And then, through this session and, meeting our committee chairs, you'll get a better sense of, what these committees do. And maybe you want to join a different committee, or maybe a friend who's interested in one of these, and, bring them along. And I think we have, a lot of great things are happening at Barnard, and I think there's just so much more to happen. So you don't have to hear from me the rest of the time, so I'll let you move on to the different committee chairs. But again, thank you all for being here, and I look forward to the rest of the day. So let me turn it over. I don't know the specific order of people going, but I have an order here.
So I just want to start off by thanking Jyoti, Kelly, and Hilary for inviting me here today to talk to you about Nominating Committee and what it does. And I came in late at the last session, but I'm so glad I did because it gives me a great intro for myself. So I'm Tracy Rodrigues. I'm class of 2011 and this year's Nominating Committee chair. I was a first-generation college student at Barnard, and I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that it changed my life. It opened up opportunities to me that I didn't even know existed, and I was only able to attend Barnard because of a very generous financial aid package that was about half of my tuition. And so that's the context and the background for why I continue to volunteer and give back, so that Barnard remains a place that is open and welcoming to first-generation college students, to women like me, and a place that continues to promote social mobility and diversity. So that's just a quick plug for volunteering and giving back. And I hope that these presentations today really dispel the myth of what type of alumna you have to be to volunteer or to give back. You don't need to be a mega donor to come to a committee, to be a bar, to attend an event, to even donate. And so with that, I will just jump right into nominating and what it does. So as the name implies, our mission is to annually nominate at least one candidate for each of the vacancies on the AABC board, and also the nominating committee itself. And so if you participated in the AABC elections last year, you'll see that we had an incredible slate of candidates, and that you read the different bios and you voted for them. And so my committee is tasked with finding those volunteers that are willing to run for that office, and then present them to you all for voting. So my own goal as chair, and this really follows in my predecessor's footsteps, is to continue to find existing and new volunteers that really represent our diverse alumni and meets the college's needs at that time for volunteers. So the committee goals are to identify alumni from all parts of the country who are interested in working for the benefit of Barnard, to nominate well-informed and active volunteers, and then to maintain contacts with all of you, the Alumni Association, trustees, and then administrators to better understand the leadership needs of our community. So some highlights from the last year and the year prior when I was a member. We actively sought diversity, and this is, dimensionally diversity, economic, geographic, ethnic, religious, graduating class, and, professional experience, making sure that we're all represented on the AABC board. We built a leadership pipeline through increased opportunities to nominate them, for you all to nominate yourselves to positions and to nominate your friends. And then we identified ways to engage alumni who are considered for the slate but aren't selected this year. So last year, if you knew someone that ran and you voted for them and they did not win their election, we offered them the choice of joining other committees, and it's our goal to continue to open up opportunities and provide people a way to remain involved, even if it's not through ABC office. And so when I think about nominating committee, I really think that it's so important to the integrity of the AABC experience and the services that we offer to all of you. It's the nature of the work is collaborative, and all the people on the committee really strive for consensus and objectivity. And then what I really find special about nominating committee is that we have women from a great range of class years, from I think 1960s all the way to someone that graduated in 2015. So it's really one of the few committees where all these different women of different class years are able to connect and socialize and talk about their Barnard experiences, and I think that really helps us find the right people for the vacancies on the board. And that was just a short overview of the nominating committee, but I know that there are several of them in this room, so I wanted to ask them to stand if you are a member of nominating committee. I see you all. Celia, Brenda, I think Suji is here. Michelle, Lynn, Adrian, Dana, Delaney, Mary Lamb. I'll make sure I run through it one more time. Brenda, Celia, Mary, Michelle, Suji, Adrian, Dana, Delaney. Thank you so much for being here and for your service to the college. And I also just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to Karen and Lacey. Their team at Barnard really makes all the work our committee does possible. Thanks, and I look forward to answering questions later. And thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know, can you all hear me? There was a little echo before, so, okay, as long as we're good. My name is Ilene Fish. I'm class of 67 and chair of Project Continuum. Now you may say, what is that? I get that a lot. Project Continuum is one of the greatest committees at Barnard, I have to say. It is fun, it is invigorating, it is intelligent. We're a group of people who graduated 30 years and after. So sometimes you get, I'm almost there. And it's a terrific place to be. We are, we're really part of the general community. We're a group of women who span decades, and I was on the committee for 3 years, and now I'm the new chair of the committee, partly because I really didn't want to leave. So I was nominated to be chair and fortunate enough to be chosen, and I couldn't be happier. I have my very, very close friends from my Barnard years, but I've made some very good friends from the committee time, people who were not in school when I was in school, and people who may have been there, but I certainly never knew them. So it's just a joy to be on the committee. It's a group of, I guess I'm supposed to change this. Okay. It's a group of women who are smart, warm, collegial, and heaven knows in this environment, collegial is a really nice place to be. And I don't mean the Barnard environment, I meant outside of our gates. But you probably figured that part out. We create quality programs to really engage the alumni, and the backgrounds of the women on the committee can be business, law, medicine, academia, political, and our programs reflect all of our interests. We want to have fun with what we do, but we want an intellectual content. Some of us, actually, it's very interesting because some of us went to work at different times. I mean, personally, I was a sort of full-time volunteer while I was raising, well, with my husband, our 3 boys, and did a lot of volunteer work, got my MBA part-time, and then went to law school when my youngest son went to college, and then had a full career, retired for 5 years, and then got recruited by the city of New York, and I'm working part-time. So I'm kind of the example of, and my motto is, you can have it all, but not all at once. And I really think that's true, and I think that that's emblematic of Barnard Women, and it's certainly emblematic of the women on our committee. We're a really interesting, dynamic group of people. And what we also like to do is collaborate with the AABC committees. We work with the Young Alumni Committee. Last year we did a terrific program with them, and we're both anxious to do that again this year. So it's great to work with the young alums, and also maybe with alma maters or any other committees. And also to work, I'd like to work with the classes. So those of you, I know you work, and some classes have mini reunions. Project Continuum would be really happy to collaborate with some of the classes and do joint programs to foster the Barnard connection. Because if we're all committed to Barnard, which we are, part of being an ambassador and being a donor is making friends and supporting our cause together, and I think it only strengthens all of our links to Barnard if we all work together. I want to highlight what is coming up on Monday night. It's Project Continuum sponsoring. We thought we had this idea and booked it this summer, and then actually Sion's office and the Athena Center wanted to do the same thing and saw that we were already doing it. So we're co-sponsoring. It's a fantastic thing at the Diana Center. It's called Blue Wave Red Wedding. Professor Michael Miller is speaking along with Jessica Hausman, who is assistant professor of political science at Barnard and an investigative reporter at ProPublica and an adjunct professor at Columbia Journalism School. So some of you were at Professor Miller's talk 2 years ago about the elections when he told us what was going to happen, and we were hoping not to believe him, but unfortunately he was right. And he's now going to be talking about the midterms, and then they're going to have a conversation and then a Q&A. And at 5:30 before that, that's going to be at the Diana Center, and then there's a cocktail party prior at 5:30 in an adjacent area for Barnard alums. So we'd like our SVPs, especially for the cocktail party. It's still open if you want to go on the link. But it's going to be a really great evening, and that's one of our Project Continuum programs. Other things that we've done in the past is a joint program with Young Alumni, a tour of the Whitney for Grant Wood. We've been to the Jewish Museum for a private tour, and we have also done other very, very interesting and cultural programs, including also something called When Democracy Dies last year with history professor Mark Kahns, which was an interactive program. And the year before that, we had a big program on climate change with Stephanie Furman, who is the co-chair of the Department of Environmental Science, here at Barnard. So we really try to stay up with the times. In terms of what I think is important is it's a fun and outstanding because it brings the alums from many decades who have led varied and interesting lives. Committee members are intelligent, thoughtful, and collaborative, and it makes Project Continuum meetings warm in tone and interesting in content. I think Project Continuum is extremely important because we reach out to alumni from many eras who are intelligent. We work with AABC and Barnard to connect alums from many different decades and reconnect alums who perhaps only return for milestone reunions, but we present programs that maybe bring them back at other times. So with that, the names, we have a few people here, but the committee members, if you're here, first of all, I want to thank also the past chair, Doralyn Pines. I don't think Doralyn is here, but she did a fabulous job, and I want to acknowledge all the hard work that she did. So our committee is me, Sylvie Bryant, Marilyn Carroll, Katie Cangelosi, Karen Hartman, Victoria London, Jean Pollack Cranes, Rachel Salzman, Joy Schneer, Janet Feldman Steig, Theodora Zongas, and Jyoti, you're on this ex officio. So come to our meetings sometimes if you're not working. Karen Sendler was actually at our meeting a couple of days ago, and I think she's going to be an honorary member because she's helping us with programming too. And then I left out two people, and I'd like you to both stand because you are really outstanding members, and your voluntary activities for Barnard are huge. So Gina Eisenstein and Laverne Taurig, if you could both stand. Thank you. They've been on zillions of committees and have done a lot for Barnard, and they're outstanding members of Project Continuum and help make it go. So thank you so much, and thank you, everybody. If you want to join Project Continuum, let me or Karen or any of the staff know, and we'll be happy to accommodate you. Thank you.
There we go. Annual Giving Committee. I'm Randi Jaffe, class of '74. This is my third year as Annual Giving Committee Chair, and after 3 years as chair of any committee on the AABC, you segue out. Though I will say that our committee has been so loyal, and our chairs have been so loyal to this committee that they often stay on for years after having chaired. I'm sorry. I did not expect that to be on wheels. So we are a little bit different from many committees. Because we work so closely with the annual giving office, with Amy Levine and Dawn Williams most especially. We are as you see, you can join if you're giving leadership gifts, and if you're also if you are seriously committed to annual giving and you've been a great fundraiser and you really want to join this committee, speak with Amy, because we can make exceptions if we need to. You should know that Blue and Bold Society members, you can join in your first 5 years out if you make a $500 contribution, and years 5 to 10 if you make a $1,000 contribution. And I was just listening while Rob and Lisa were talking, and realized that if we give a mere $2,500 a year, which isn't mere for many of us, but is for some of us, it's the equivalent of having given $50,000 to an endowment fund. That's pretty serious. That's real giving. It makes a really big difference. But as Jyoti said, and also it's a low commitment. When you join, you can stay on for just 1 year. And if it doesn't work for you, you can move off. So here's what we really are there for. We're there to make it easier for alumni to give. We're there to help to share our experiences and our thoughts about how to improve fundraising, how to grow the annual fund, how to grow participation. We always want to make it easier. For instance, we beta tested new technology. There's something called Class Agent, which many of us use for fundraising. It's an online program. You can do it when you're sitting in a phone-a-thon. You can do it from home. You can do it from anywhere. There's another technology called Hustle, and it's a texting fundraising program. And that really works. But somebody had to play with it first, so we did do that. So the annual fund, let's see, what's next? So we're always looking for a few good new members. Enthusiasm for Barnard is the most important thing. Jyoti talked about all of us being ambassadors for Barnard. It's never more important than when you're fundraising, especially when you're doing it with members of your class. You remind them of all the good things that Barnard has given to their lives and how it's just, well, for many of us, completely changed our lives. I'm another first-generation kid, so it completely changed my life. Another important thing to remember is the annual fund is, though our percentage of participation is on the low side for us and our peers, but we're going to raise that just by telling everyone the important thing is to give something. So all of you remember that when you talk to your friends. We have been contributing $4 million a year to the college's operating fund, which is not nothing. And roughly 10,000 donors give each year, for the last 3 years anyway, though reunion classes are a little higher. Reunion classes tend to give closer to 25%. But we really want that to go much higher. There's no reason why it shouldn't. So here is our list of current members of the committee. They span more than 60 years at Barnard, from class of 54 to the class of 2015. We all have the common goal of increasing annual giving to the college in numbers and in rates of participation. It is really true, I will say it again, that every single gift of every size matters. It tells people, grant makers and major donors, that we trust, we appreciate, and we love Barnard. So as I read the names, I would like all the members of the Annual Giving Committee who are here to stand when you hear your name so we can thank you for your devotion to Barnard. Janine Platel, Florence Mann, Rhoda Burley, Carol Cohen, Linda Sweet, Pauline Sherman, Jane McGroarty, Nancy Polvoy, Daphne Phillipson, Linda Kahn, me, Mary Rosenberg, Nicole Viana, Ruth Raceman, Dana Lau, Wendy Maudlin, Pauline Schender, Jai Greeny, Sarah Tieneman, and Nia Sundram.
Hello. I'm Amy Veltman. I'm the chair of the Alma Maters Committee. By a show of hands, I know you heard this briefly earlier, but who knows what the Alma Maters Committee is? Okay, that's a little spotty. We're going to fix that right now. The Alma Maters Committee is a committee for mothers who went to Barnard. We primarily focus on people in the active motherhood stage, where you have kids at home driving you crazy, and you want to get out and get back to Barnard. So that's kind of a jesting version of it. Our real mission, is it the top button? The right, okay. Is to foster thoughtful discussion and programs about motherhood for Barnard alumni. And we have events. We have probably 3 to 4 events per year, and a lot of times they're in conjunction with other committees, including PLDC, which is the Professional Leadership and Development Committee, and Project Continuum. That's aspirational at this point. Let me just tell you the story of how alma maters formed, because I think, which I heard first from Mary Rosenberg after I was already chair of the Alma Maters Committee. What happened is, I'm sure some of you have had this experience where you open up your Barnard magazine and you look at your sister alumni and you think, my gosh, these women are running the world, they're running nonprofits, they're running healthcare organizations, they're running everything, and I'm running the kitchen. And sometimes it can feel really dispiriting. And so there was a group of alumni who were feeling really unseen by the communications that they were getting from the college if they had made a choice or if circumstance had dictated that they were mothers and not out in the workforce. And so in the early 90s, Lisa Davis Phillips got together some women who were alumni, who were mothers, in a living room and said, you know, what can we do for you? And tears were shed by some of the women there, just with gratitude for being recognized by the college, even you know, for their important contributions to the world by being mothers. It's an important job. So that's how it formed over time. We have evolved to have a mixture of mothers who are in the workforce, mothers who aren't in the workforce, mothers who dip toes in, whatever. But our commonality is that we're in that active stage of having kids at home. Our goals as a committee, we are looking for new people. We are looking to diversify our ranks. So if this is something that interests you or interests a friend of yours, if you're not in the demographic, or children of yours who are Barnard alumni, by all means, be in touch with me. We've had some great programming over the last couple years. Earlier on, we used to just get together because people really crave connection in this phase of their life, but we've really started to focus more on events that are of service to mothers and what that job is. So, for example, a couple years ago, we had this really fantastic screening of a movie called Screenagers about technology and kids, how much is too much, how much is enough, how much is harmful. And we had a fantastic discussion led by Tova Klein, who directs the Toddler Center, and it was very stimulating. The sad part, it was a little underattended. We're looking to increase the attendance at our events because, you know, I heard the sound from you. That's a fascinating and useful topic for everybody. Another event that we had that was great was in conjunction with PLDC. It was about building resilience. We had a speaker, and then we had a really fantastic wellness fair where I got acupuncture live in front of other people. You could have done the same. And there were massages. There was a kind of light and sound experience room. It was very interactive, a lot of fun, and we also involved some women who are alumni who ran businesses. So it was a great opportunity to connect. And then one event that I was really excited about that we had in the spring was a panel on raising confident and respectful kids in the age of Me Too. So we tried to make this for parents of sons and daughters to, you know, be appropriate and respectful in all situations. You know what I'm talking about. And we had a fantastic panel once again. Tova Klein, she's been an endless resource for us from the Toddler Center, came and talked about those young years of childhood. And then we had another psychologist, Dr. Dana Dorfman, talking about the teen and older years and about, you know, what you can do as parents to raise children who will be both safe and help keep other people safe. It was tremendous, really well attended, a lot of energy around it. And it's also online, so see me later if you want the link to it, because all of us, even those of us who arrogantly think we know a lot about parenting, learned a lot. So those are some of our highlights over the next year. One of the things, and then, oh my gosh, we have an annual event called Navigating the College Admissions Process. This is every spring, usually in May after admissions and acceptances are over. And it's so informative, and it's great even if you don't have kids who are of the age where it's appropriate to think about college tomorrow. As an ambassador of the college, I have found this event to be invaluable because you know what is important to Barnard right now, what does financial aid look like right now, and just a lot of those nitty-gritty questions so that when you're out in the community talking to prospective students, you really have a handle on what Barnard's looking for. And I've found it very useful to help draw people into the community. I'm from Oregon, and so that's pretty far away, so it's been great to be able to be a resource to people from there. So those are our events. We are all opportunity at Alma Maters because we are so small. Also, there were a lot of people, like Randi was talking about, for her committee, where people stayed for a really long time. So there was a group of moms who stayed from the time their kids were about 2 to the time their kids were 13. And then all of a sudden, somebody came in and said, wait, term limits. And and so we're practically an entirely new committee, and we're small, and we are forming. And so if this is of interest to you, you can really help shape things, help shape our future events, and be a part of it. And it's also, we recognize that moms in that active phase have very limited time, and so it's not one of those meet once a week committees. Are there once a week committees? I don't know, but it's a great entry level committee with a lower time commitment than I think some of them have, but a great passion commitment is expected and hoped for. And lastly, I'd like to recognize our members who are here and thank them. Actually, I believe we only have one of our members here, but I'd like to thank everybody who participates for their service. Ellie Kohanim, please stand when I call your name if you are here. Ashley Coco Fu, Anna Knoble, she is here. Hi, Anna. Erica Sienna, Janice U. Vexler, and of course, Jyoti is our ex officio member. And I'd also love to thank Ann Goldberg from the Alumni Relations Office because she makes everything we do possible. Thanks so much.
Well, thank you all so much. I know we're running a little bit over time, so maybe we'll limit to like 2 questions. And I think most of the folks are here, so you can always ask us questions throughout the day. So are there any? Oh, there are 2 right there. Perfect. Made my life easy. Oh, and we got Kelly running right behind you. I don't know if you guys want
You're preaching to the choir here as far as involvement and all of that. And something that I've found in working with regional clubs a lot is that there are people who I think would benefit tremendously from programs like this, but because we're limited in the number of people who can attend, I guess my question is, can there be, or my suggestion is, can there be an event for people who want to know what they can do for Barnard but aren't necessarily regional leaders or class leaders? Or can we have a reserve amount of people who perhaps are on boards or regional clubs at lower levels, but we'd like to get them more involved?
You want to take it? Or? Yeah.
Just a quick answer. We've been playing with that some at Alma Maters, and so we started very low-hanging fruit, a Facebook group, and in the span of a year, we got about 250 members, and people were so hungry for connection that they spontaneously self-organized meetups in Northern California and in Westchester for groups of moms, and it's been a really great way for people to feel a revived connection to the college, even if they're not in the metropolitan area. So that's another way that I would ask you, if you have friends, relatives who are alumni and moms, or who have interests relating to any of the other committees, to reach out and let them know that's available. We also experimented with having a remote member last year, and I think it was a little unfulfilling for her not to be able to attend our events, and so we're going to keep experimenting with that. But that's also why we recorded our event, to make it available to people who couldn't be here in person. And I get this sense from alumni relations that there's a greater push to do that with greater frequency, so that people out of the metropolitan area can benefit from the great programming.
Yeah, and I think it's not just getting them to events, because that's fabulous, and that's a great way of reconnecting, and I love that. But it's more to get people onto committees and leadership. Like, I have lots of friends who know that I'm involved, but sometimes they'll say, how can I get involved and what can I do? And they're not as familiar, so. And having been on the nominating committee at one point in time,
Great. All right.
I know how hard it is to get the leadership.
Yes, so I think if you are already involved as a volunteer, I think you'll notice that each year before elections, we send out a nominee suggestion form. So in the past, I think it's been limited to class officers, the trustees, the current board, and class councils, but obviously that leaves out a lot of amazing people that are not in the metropolitan area. So this year, for the first time, we sent out that form to regional club leaders. And so they had the opportunity to nominate people that, we probably never have contact with, and we did get some recommendations. And I'm pleased to say that on nominating committee, we hold almost all of our meetings remotely using Zoom. So we do video conference, and we have someone based in North Carolina, other people based outside. So it's definitely, when I spoke about diversity before, we're definitely thinking about geographic diversity as well. So,
That's a great
yeah, thanks
idea.
for your
Thank you.
question.
And then one more, and then I think we have to.
I just want to say I think doing this is fantastic, because I've been a class officer now for different roles for 15 years, and I do get the emails and have no idea what you all do. I do read what I get. I think that's critical. My question is really virtually the same. I don't live in New York, so I would like to know what you all do, and not just limited to you, to interact with the regional groups so that people outside of New York, obviously it's not going to be exactly the same, but how can they benefit, be involved in the things, not the specific activities, but the reason for some of these committees. I'm how many years out? 40-something. I didn't know about the whatever it's called. I wrote it down. I don't have my glasses on. But, so what, how do you get people outside, integrate people outside of New York?
Thank you very much.
Please.
Okay, so we're actually thinking about changing our name. So once you get to recognize Project Continuum, we're going to try to have a name that makes more sense. But that's one of my goals, as well as raising the profile of the committee. But we actually have people who can't come into our committee meetings, and they can always phone in. We only meet 3 times a year. So we can definitely, if you're interested.
I'm not talking about just your meetings. You have meetings so that you have events, you have a purpose.
So
The purpose is not just to have meetings. How do you integrate your purpose to regional clubs so that
Yeah, so we have
Yeah.
nominated.
So I'll give an answer Sure, for nominating committee and then also for Elise, the chair of the Young Alum Committee, and how she's approached that, even though she's not here. But I know that the Young Alums have done this event that they started last year called Barnard in Your Backyard, where across the country, Young Alums are hosting simultaneous events and getting together. I hosted one last year at my apartment in Park Slope. It had like 10 people from the neighborhood come by. I know that Elise has talked about sharing that idea with alma maters and Project Continuum. So that's one event that was really successful last year that Elise and the Young Alum Committee is doing again. And I'd say the second thing is if you are based outside of the metropolitan area and you don't feel like you're involved, reach out to the, I forget what the official chair position is, PJ Sands. The regional clubs chair, PJ Sands. I think if you go on the Barnard alumni website, there's like the standing committee list under volunteer. It has all our contact information and the Barnard staff members who work with that committee. So reach out and share your ideas about how to promote events outside, but PJ Sands would be the contact person for kind of questions about that. Yeah, so it's definitely something we have in mind, and hopefully, I know it's been successful for young alums to do the Barnard in Your Backyard events and the simultaneous events, and hopefully that'll kind of work across committees too.
Can I ask the last question about, and following up with the regional, is there an international where we could, like Barnard Paris, Barnard London, how could we get involved if we're there? So, okay, I don't know.
We do have clubs in different cities and countries around the world. So it's the same kind of thing from a regional perspective with the regional chair and getting events out. I think part of it is just the way we're communicating the different events that happen. And I know there's been more effort around how do we, record sessions like this, because to your point, how are we educating the wider base so to make it available? And in terms of events in different locations, same thing. I think the college continues to improve on how we communicate to our alums about them. Cool. Okay, so I think we are out of time. I've lost Kelly in the crowd, but so thanks again to all of you for your input and being with us today. And then we're gonna have a break now, and then there's snacks outside, I'm told. And the next sessions start at 11:30. I know we lost a little bit of time, but hopefully we'll make it up. Thank you.